Good morning, CSL Simi Valley. So good to be with you this morning for our Vert service. Oh my goodness, what a time, what a time. You know, when you when you think that the year can't get any stranger, have you heard of the murdering hornets? There are hornets in the Pacific Northwest that are so violent that within a half a day they can decimate a whole area of bees and wasps, and they're just going after them, and they've been trying to track them. They actually use little floss around a tracking device, and they have to catch the hornet and then hook this little thing around it and then follow it around to see if it can get back to the hornet's nest before the hornets go underground and then come back. Murdering hornets, COVID, all kinds of ruckus going on in the political nature, in the political world. We've got the social media trolls going. It's just, what a year. But things are coming to a close. The year's not that far away. People are already talking about Thanksgiving plans and what's going to happen for Christmas. So it's there. And you've got 12 days until polling opens here in LA County and 16 days until Election Day. Have you figured it out? Have you filled out your sample ballot? Have you voted? A lot of you, I know, have already voted. Please do vote. That's what we get to do. Beautiful service today. We got Tina Meeks bringing us music today, and a special guest to be interviewed today is Tracy Brown, and she has a website called Stained Glass Spirit, and I love the concept. It's that all of us are like a beautiful piece of stained glass, and when the light of spirit shines through that glass, it lights us up. And like the stained glass, we are made strong by each individual piece being held together by that molding energy that I'm calling love. The molding energy of love is the little wrought iron that holds each piece of glass together to make the window very strong. That's who we are. We're going to talk about that with our talk title today, which is The Give in Forgive. But before we do all of that, I just want to remind you that all that I was talking about, the teachings that we have and how we've been able to manage this year has all been about totally understanding our vision and our mission and living that vision and mission every single day of our lives. And if you forget it, I'm here to remind you about it. And if you need some support around it, talk to a practitioner, give me a call, a text, an email, and we'll pray about it. We'll work through it because we have a teaching that helps us learn how to think, how to move ourselves beyond any stress to relieve any discord that may be going through our system. Here we are with our vision and mission statement. Join me as we say it together this morning. We're a community, inclusive, loving, and authentic. We celebrate all paths to God in gratitude, empowering self and others. We serve compassionately through outreach, inspiration, and education. That's who we are. That's why we're here. And here's what we do.
Good morning and welcome to everyone. Thank you for joining us for our Vert service, a blend of virtual and church worship celebration. It's my pleasure today to share with you what we do at CSL Simi Valley. Our Wednesday night experience begins at 5:30 p.m. We have yoga with Debbie, a chance to consciously connect mind, body, and soul with the spirit that dwells within. The Zoom meeting ID is 878-569-38671. And the password is 253932. So please join us at 5:30. Then after that, at 7 p.m., our Wednesday night service begins. This week, it's Poetry as Spiritual Practice with Reverend Johanna. The Zoom ID number is 8132-4496-144, and you will be let in through a waiting room. Explore ancient wisdom truths inspired by a great writer's piece of poetic verse. Have a pen and pad handy, as you'll have an opportunity to journal about those words that conjure up in your spirit. Please join us at 7 p.m. on Wednesday. Remember our weekly offerings. We have Play and Learn with Dr. Susan available at all times on our YouTube channel. And she live streams on Sunday morning at 9:30 a.m. on our CSLCME website. Then during the week, Reverend Stephen brings us Practicing Oneness. He live streams Monday through Friday on his personal Facebook page at 1 p.m., sharing his daily inspirations and musings. Please reach out for prayer whenever you need it. Our center's ministers and practitioners are always ready to provide emotional and spiritual support. Reach out to them through our website at cslcme.org, or you can call our office at 805-527-0870. Today's service will be uploaded to our YouTube channel, which is CSL Simi Valley, where you can enjoy this service or any of our past services at any time. Once again, I would like to welcome all of you viewing from wherever you are, and we're grateful that you have chosen to spend some time with us this morning. Now here's Sherry Deeds with our opening song.
But before we go to Sherry and the opening song, I want to remind you, or just invite you, as you listen to this song, which is very familiar as a closing song in service. It's I Release, I Let Go. What I want you to think about today is all of the activities that have gone on this week, all the stressors, all the joys, all the moments that we have moved through this week. Take a minute during this song to let that go, to release any preconceived notions you may have, any barriers that you may have set up consciously or unconsciously to your experience of spirit today. And as you hear the song and hear the words from that experience, then you allow yourself to become a vessel of the divine, and you set the stage for you to move into the service this morning. So release it, let it go, be here for God. Here's Sherry.
I release, I let go, I let the Spirit run my life, and my heart is open wide. Yes, I'm only for God. No more struggle, no more strife. With my faith I see the light. I am free in the Spirit. I'm only for God. I release, I let go, I let the Spirit run my life, and my heart is open wide. Only for God, no more struggle, no more strife. With my faith I see the light. I am free in the Spirit. Yes, I'm only here for God.
Our affirmation for today, I will read it first and then we'll say it together. And I'm going to say it a little slower so we can do it as a contemplation. Dropping labels and judgments, I see God in you and give from a place of compassion, acceptance, and divine love. So let's say that together with pauses, contemplatively. Dropping labels and judgments, I see God in you and give from a place of compassion, acceptance, and divine love. My reading today is from Spiritual Economics by Eric Butterworth. Spiritual Economics is one of the certified classes recommended by the CSL Home Office. Life is not lived from outside in, but from inside out. Unless we understand this, we miss the whole meaning of life. The purpose of life is not acquisition, but unfoldment and personal development. Even in the teaching of metaphysics, there has been a tremendous swing toward this revolutionary attitude toward money and things. Thus, many books and courses by teachers of truth emphasize how-to techniques for demonstrating money and possessions and jobs and success. The constant theme is get, get, get. Just hold the thought and you can get anything you want. And the grossest level of materialism is reached when truth groups are led in singing prosperity songs in which the refrain affirms, money, 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 a sad derogation of a beautiful spiritual process. This contemporary trend toward materialism is attributable in a large part to the sad neglect of the church in teaching the law of giving. Religious institutions have failed miserably in this respect, undoubtedly because they have been preoccupied with their own need to receive support. Preachers have talked of giving as returning to God a portion of one's income. Churchgoers have been lulled into a pious acceptance of this form of idealism. However, it completely skirts the issue of inward-rooted giving, as it deals with an anemic God of the skies who bargains with us for giving a return. Jesus said, "Consider the lilies of the field and how they grow." By nature's law, the lily grows and unfolds from a bulb to a flower. It is a discernible unfoldment from within outward. There is no obligation for the flower to return a portion of its fragrance and color to the form of nature. There is no way it could even do this, even if it wanted to do so, because life is a forward-growing, unfolding experience. Don't miss the implication of this homely illustration. Your life is God's gift to you. What you do with it is your gift to God. Join me in consciousness now for our opening prayer treatment. There is only love. That is the root, and that is the source. Love is the source. And from that source comes everyone and everything. We each come from that source. All ideas spring forth from that source. All wisdom, all beauty, all joy, all peace, every good thing comes from that source. And we are intimately connected with that source. It is us. It created us. It fills us. It lives us. When we breathe oxygen in and out, that is divine, breathing in divinity and breathing out divinity. We are all part of the process of the divine unfoldment. Prosperity is all around us. The giving and the receiving, that ultimate cycle, is just really all there is love begetting love. So from this realization, we give thanks for this center, for Virch, for everybody who makes this happen, for all of the congregation near and far, for all of the visitors. There's just so many things to be grateful for. So from this place of awareness, we release this word to the law, and the law says yes. And we accept this, and we receive this, and we embody this when we say, and so it is.
See you can be it if you open up your heart. You can feel the beat of love every minute calling out your name, and you can hear the sound of peace in the water dripping on your window pane, and you can see the light of hope in a rainbow shining just for you, and you can be the one who dares to make a difference in the little things that you do. You can feel it, oh yeah, if you open up your heart. You can hear it, yeah, if you open up your heart. Ooh, yeah, you can see it, ooh, if you open up your heart. Open up your heart, you can be it, if you open up your heart. Yeah, now you can feel the beat of love every minute calling out your name, and you can hear the sound of peace in the water dripping on your window pane. Now you can see the light of hope in a rainbow shining just for you, and you can be the one who dares to make a difference in the little things that you do. Oh, you can feel it, oh, if you open up your heart. Yeah, you can hear it, if you open up your heart. Open up your heart, you can see it, yeah, if you open up your heart. Now you can be it, yeah, if you open up your heart. So much of life is wasted on misery that tears us apart. Oh, true happiness is yours, and you feel it when you open up your heart. Oh, if you open up your heart, if you open up your heart, you can feel it. Oh yeah, if you open up your heart, oh, you can see it. If you open up your heart, yeah, open up your heart, you can be it. Oh, you open up your heart, yeah. Open up your heart. If you open up your heart, come on and open up your heart. Everybody open up your heart. Hey, open up your heart. Come on now, open up your heart. Come on, open up your heart. You got to open up your heart. Hey, open up your heart. Come on now, open up your heart. Oh, open up your heart. Come on now, open up your heart. Hey, open up your heart. You got to open up your heart. Hey, open your heart.
It's now time for our gap meditation. So the gap is a pause that we take. It can be the time between breathing in and breathing out, or it can be the time between thoughts, or it could be a break in the service. So we're going to watch a little video of a candle, and you're going to hear some noise, And if you don't recognize the sounds you hear as you contemplate the candle, they are made by me circling Chinese baoding balls. Welcome back. Namaste.
This too shall pass. This too shall pass. This too shall pass. This too shall pass. This moment too shall pass. The dark clouds never last. Soon as the storm is past, you'll see a brighter day. My mama used to pray. She'd get down on her knees every day. And though the tempest may rage, she said, passed away. This moment too shall pass. Yeah, yeah, yeah. The dark clouds never last. Soon as the storm is past, you're gonna see a brighter day. This too shall pass. I was tossed and I was torn. This too shall pass. I was crossed and I was scorned. Somebody reached out his hand and he helped me to believe again. This moment too shall pass, yeah. Oh, those dark clouds, they never last. Soon as the storm passes, oh, you're gonna see a brighter day when trials come your way and your blue skies have changed to gray. The winds of doubt are strong and your hope is gone. Remember Mama's prayer. She knew God was everywhere, and no matter what comes your way, your troubles don't come to stay. This too shall pass. Hold on. This too shall pass. Wait for the dark clouds, baby. This too shall pass. This too shall pass. This too shall pass. All you gotta do is hold on. This too shall pass. Soon as the storm is past, this too shall pass. You're gonna see a brighter day. This too shall pass. Hold on to your faith. This too shall pass. You gotta hold on, yes you do. This too shall pass. You know it's gonna pass. This too shall pass.
Thank you, Tina Meeks. Thank you for that reminder. Yes, this too shall pass. I'd like to, excuse me, I'd like to actually update that a little bit. I say this has come to pass in the infinite intelligence and wisdom of the divine. All the experiences that we have, they come into our life, but they pass through. But within each of these lessons, there is a blessing. So this has come to pass. And all that we're dealing with, it's so perfect to hear those words with everything that's taking place. You know, our bodies are set up to allow us to deal with the stresses and the worries of life, the tiger in the woods, you know. But we think we don't have tigers in the woods that we have to worry about anymore. No, our tigers, our violent animals are different things now. Now there's social media. Now there's the headline news and the news stream that's going on. Now there's the vitriol that goes on between different sides that are opposing one another. Those are the animals that bring the cortisol into our bodies. But this too shall pass. A song like that releases the oxytocin. That releases that energy that says we can heal, we can move through that. And that's what this conversation that I'm having with Tracy Brown today is about. It's about the give in forgiveness, how we can move through these various experiences so that we can get to the other side, for this too has come to pass. So I bring you now Tracy Brown, our conversation that we had around the giving and forgiveness. She's the practitioner at CSL Dallas and also the founder of a website called Stained Glass Spirit. So here now is our talk, Tracy Brown and I.
Well, I want to welcome Tracy Brown, practitioner from the Dallas Center for Spiritual Living, for being with us this morning at CSL Simi Valley for our the virtual church service. That's what we call it, in case I hadn't hit you up with that yet. We take the virtual, we take the church. Virch is where we are. Virch. So say hello to everybody, would you?
Hey, everybody. I am excited about my first experience of Virch.
I'm excited about it too. And I'm excited about our talk today, and the partly because, well, the journey is going to be wonderful with you, because we're going to make this talk happen together as we go through this process. It's called the Give in Forgive. And it's loosely based on this month's themes of cosmic connection and trying to figure out what are our cosmic connections and how do we move through this cosmically connected life that we're inextricably connected to one another, and the areas in which we continue to break off and live in separation. And when I was thinking about that for this particular week, and the idea of forgiveness came up, what came to me is there's a lot of work before the forgiving happens. I love the idea that forgive is forgive. So I think there's some pre-work, the forework, before there can be forgiving. And so what do we have to give to ourselves is where I want to go with this. What kind of energy do we have to give? What kind of attentions do we have to give to ourselves to prepare us for the larger space of forgiveness so that it's full, it's complete, it's not empty, it's sincere, and it's healing, and it brings about a sense of wholeness. You ready for that journey?
I am ready for that journey. I agree with you 100%.
So where would you go first if you were going to talk about, I want to give myself some attention to prepare myself for the process of forgiveness? Where might you travel first in your own journey around that? And where might you advise others to travel in that regard?
That's really easy for me because I do this all the time. And I realize it's because of the way I was raised and the time during which I was raised. I had to learn to forgive myself individually, and more, I had to learn to forgive people I knew and people I didn't know, because I grew up in the civil rights movement and I was being judged so much based on my race. I learned to give, like, before I could forgive others, I had to be fully grounded in who I am. And I think our teaching really, in Science of Mind, really teaches us that, right? That I have to know who I am, and any choice I make, and it is a choice, any choice I make to forgive others is about me being clear the kind of person I want to be. So my guiding question in preparing to forgive is, whatever the situation is, whatever someone did or said, is this worth losing my peace with God? My peace with God. Peace, P-E-A-C-E. Is this situation, is this condition of the world, is this behavior that this other person has done, is it worth me forfeiting peace? And so that's the work that I do. And then I, of course, remind myself, no, my peace with God, that's inextricable. It's always available to me. I am going through this life guided by spiritual values. And then I'm able to go take that deep breath and say, all right, what do I need to do to experience peace?
Right. Sweet. And in that journey, that's yours. And that's a high consciousness level to get to. And so many of us start, it is. And so many of us start down in the gutter of, I hate you, I don't like you. Like Ernest Holmes talks about in this first quote that I want to use, where he says that forgiveness means reconciliation in spite of estrangement, reunion despite hostility, acceptance of those who have been unacceptable, reception of those who are rejected. And I thought that quote hit me like a rock, because that's where we are in our culture today. We are living in estrangement from one another. We are finger pointing with a level of hostility that I can't remember since seeing, as a kid, seeing dogs and water hoses put across people who were doing peace marches in the South, that we find so many people and so many ideas unacceptable, and we reject those who have any belief in any of those ideas.
And right, and we push people away, and we have socialized ourselves to be in this energy of hatred, division, and separation, and it is toxic, and it is real. So I agree with you. If we're really going to be serious about talking about and creating an environment where there is forgiveness, then we need to be able to build this bridge. I love that Ernest Holmes quote as well, because it does not do a spiritual bypass on the fact that estrangement, hostility, a judgment about someone or some group being unacceptable, or rejection, it doesn't deny that those things exist. That as human beings, humanity has created these very real conditions. And so often, it's so easy to do a spiritual bypass. Well, I believe in harmony. Well, I will pray for acceptance because I don't want to deal with the fact that the ugly stuff is real and I need to help dismantle it.
Right.
And Ernest Holmes did not teach us to ignore it. Ernest Holmes in this book reminds us that in spite of estrangement, I get to choose reconciliation and behave in alignment with that.
And I love that you're talking about the other side of it. I frequently tell people, because they're so ready to go to, it's all love, it's all God. Yes, it is. But Ernest Holmes was very clear about looking at the condition and then turning from the condition. But you don't turn until you take a look at it. And I see all of these as like gauges on the dashboard of my life. And if I'm feeling hostile towards somebody, or if I'm feeling unacceptable around somebody's situation, or if I'm rejecting someone, then that gauge is pegging down in the E territory, and I need to fill up on those other things. I have to fill up on the acceptance. I have to fill up on the reconciliation. I have to fill up on receiving the other. That's the work we get to do. And there's power in that. And I think that some people feel like they're going to lose their power if they do any of those things. Like Valerie Kerr says in this, she's an activist filmwriter, a filmmaker, great story she tells, but this what she says here is that forgiveness is not forgetting. Forgiveness is freedom from hate. And we can talk about the second part of it first, but the first part I want to deal with, the forgiveness is not forgetting. There seems to be some energy related to holding on to all those other things that Dr. Holmes was telling us to let go of. How in your work do you transform or help and invite people to transform themselves from those energies and use them in the power and not forget why they're making the move? Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes perfect sense. I hadn't really thought about that, but immediately I'm thinking about, even when I am as a practitioner, right, and I'm doing coaching sessions with congregants or with people in our community, or I'm doing spiritually based coaching with others even, that I don't want them to forget. I don't want them to forget what brought them to this moment, to this desire to change or to shift or to grow or to expand, that forgiving what caused the discord, forgiving what caused the misalignment is not the same as forgetting it, because it's always going to be there. It's always going to be in the mind. And I want to use it instead of forgetting it. I want to name it. I want to accept that it is a part of what brought me to today, but I will not be imprisoned by it. So then it becomes a stepping stone to my next best, greatest being. And that's true, whether it is, okay, this may not make any sense, but it's the way it just downloaded in my brain.
Good.
All of us know someone who has been diagnosed with cancer.
Yes.
We do not tell that person to forget that they had cancer. We tell them to do what needs to be done, to follow their guidance, to choose among all the healing modalities that are available to them, spiritual and human.
Mm-hmm.
And when they go, and then they're cancer free, and they go every year to get a PET scan and a CAT scan, they don't forget that they had cancer, but they don't stay in anger or fear that they had cancer.
And even as you, great example, because not only that, but we give them a badge and we call them cancer survivors, you know? So can we?
So why can't we do that, whether it is, hating people or, hating people based on their race or ethnicity or their sexual orientation or their age group or their political party, right? No, I can forgive what happened. I can forgive the bad things that were done, but that doesn't mean I forget them. I turn them into what nourishes me in the direction that I am going, where I have placed my vision, which is forgiveness in order for me to live a life that I love and that creates a world that works for everyone.
And that takes me back to the first thing you were talking about around the peace. And that's the second half of her quote. Forgiveness is freedom from hate. If I cannot return myself to a sense of peace, then I'm completely ineffective in any kind of growth. Yeah.
Yes. And what's hard about that is we want the other group or the other person, we want them to feel bad, right? Or we want them to apologize. We keep going to a solution that's outside of ourselves.
Yeah, and there's a power dynamic there too. We felt that we were down, we were not in any kind of power, and so suddenly, if I forgive you, then I'm not. We've made how am I saying this? We've made a lot of value into being a victim, right? And so if I give that up, then I'm going to lose a particular advantage that I may have to make you feel bad for how you've treated me.
Or I just am not going to be satisfied, and I can't be at peace until I hold you accountable for what you did, and until you admit that you are responsible or accountable for all the pain that you caused me. And I can think of examples on the individual level, but I also, as a Black woman, have more examples than I could ever remember when it goes to group identity, right? So how can I go through the world with freedom from hate when I've been treated so hatefully by people who don't even know me personally, but see the color of my skin? Right?
You just
So,
said about holding accountable. It made me think about the bell hooks question that we wanted to ask, because there's another kind of way that I can hold you accountable, and it's not for your past, but it's for your future. And bell hooks writes, how do we hold people accountable for wrongdoing and yet at the same time remain in touch with their humanity enough to believe in their capacity to be transformed? What an incredible thing to hold someone accountable for. Okay, yeah, you've admitted about your past. We've had that conversation, but I'm gonna forgive you for that, because I'm gonna hold you accountable for a higher standard.
well, when I read the bell hooks quote, it feels like it's not so much I'm going to hold you accountable to be transformed or to help transform, but I'm going to believe in, I'm going to believe that if you are in touch with true humanity, which is the expression of divinity through a human form, that there is the potential, there is always the potential that you will choose to get on board with the transformation. Like I'm holding out hope for that, that you, the spark of divinity that is within your humanity lets me know there's the potentiality for transformation. And I believe, and I have proof of that, proof that, or evidence that to believe that. So if I look at the larger grouping based on race and ethnicity, it can be really frustrating for me to believe that one day, really, I'm going to be judged based on my character, or people like me are going to be judged based on character more than color. But if I look at the LGBTQ movement and recognize that 25 years ago, I would never have predicted that same-sex marriage, that marriage equality would happen and be legalized nationally in the US. 20 years ago, 25 years ago, I would have said, that should happen, but that's not going to happen in my life.
Or that a person from that community would be a candidate for president, a serious candidate for president in the primary campaign.
Exactly. And so that makes me believe in the potentiality that humanity, in the bell hooks quote, that someone can be held accountable for what they've done wrong, but can still remain in touch with their humanity enough to believe that they have their capacity to be transformed. So there are two pieces there that really, for me, aligning with what we teach in Science of Mind. Yes, I can hold you accountable because everything that happens is a reflect of your consciousness up until now. Right? Yes. Your past consciousness creates your today. You can change the consciousness today and guarantee a different future. So if you can own that your consciousness created, your consciousness is cause for what has happened that was wrong. Slavery, homophobia, political tension and competition, anything. I can still believe that it is possible for your consciousness to change, and that is what provides the capacity to be transformed.
Sweet. And I love the example you gave me earlier, that we all have that ability, particularly anyone who has been a parent or loved a child or seen the brightness in a child despite anything that they have done, right?
Yeah.
We do have that.
Yeah, because that really, the very first time I saw the bell hooks quote, how do we hold people accountable for wrongdoing and yet at the same time remain in touch with their humanity, to believe that they can be transformed. It's like, yeah, how would we do that? That's so hard. I mean, we want to hold them accountable, and
Yeah.
then we've got to watch them because they're gonna do it again.
Hmm.
It's the foundation that many of us were raised with. The best you can be is a sinner. You're
Mm-hmm.
gonna sin again. You're gonna make the same mistake over and over. You're gonna keep doing this thing that hurts or that doesn't work.
Yeah.
That's not what we teach.
Right. We don't live that quote from Paul, right? I do the things I know I should not do, yet I do them still. We don't have to live that life.
That is right. That is not what we teach. And so if consciousness is cause, and yes, if anybody who has raised children, I hope, I want to believe that anyone who has raised children has punished a child at some point, held them accountable for something they did that was harmful, hurtful, or dangerous. But that in that moment, you did not stop believing that that child was going to grow up to be a responsible citizen, a great parent, someone who's making a positive difference in building a good life. So we already know how to hold someone accountable and at the same time believe in, reach for, and know that it's possible to change and transform.
That's beautiful. I feel like we've hit it, like we got there. I do want to just do there was one last one I just wanted to hit on. Because this idea about love and the power of using love, I think that's part of that thing about the give and forgive, the giving attention to love. And it's the American feminist Robin Morgan who writes, hate generalizes, love specifies. Through love, we challenge and let go of all kinds of assumptions. And I know that well, you go with where you were with that, and I think we'll wrap with that one, because I think there's a power in the specificity of love and how we can apply it to the second half of that.
Well, when Sally Kohn brings that up in the book, The Opposite of Hate, I think it really is powerful, whether we're talking about gender equality, racial equity, sexual orientation, and gender identity, right? It really doesn't matter what we're talking about. Hate generalizes. Either I think this about everybody in the group, or I just see you as not as an individual, but a representative of this group that I know all about, even though I don't know anyone in the group personally. And so for me, yes, when I think about that, I think because I'm so guided by what we teach, that love, the spiritual value of love, requires me to specify that love applies to everyone, that love is my superpower, and so I need to look at everyone through the lens of love, and so I can't generalize, and I have to catch myself generalizing and then look through the eyes of love with the people I'm actually engaging with. And so for me, that is what helps me to let go of all kinds of assumptions.
I hear you. That, and as I was saying earlier, if I can love a specific thing,
Yes,
and really dive into that experience of that one thing, and this is outside the conversation, but it's for me, as I was saying earlier, it was chocolate. I didn't like chocolate. Then I found this particular brand of ice cream that has chocolate nuggets in it, and I started to really like that ice cream, and it allowed me to explore more around chocolate. And I know it may sound light, but it's the same thing that applies to these heavier subjects we can talk about. If I can love the specifics of the grandchild from the interracial family, as you talked about earlier, and really dive into that, maybe I can expand my capacity for the larger group and turn love into a generalization as well.
this is really great stuff, and it's really practical, even though it seems like it's the philosophy. It's not. The philosophy drives how we show up. And so when we talk about science of mind being a faith, a philosophy, and a way of life, you cannot talk about forgiveness without talking about what is my way of living the philosophy and the faith.
Wow. Period, exclamation point. If you had one, I would say drop the mic. Boom. Thank you, Tracy Brown.
So delighted to hang out with you. Love having these conversations and love all of the things that are happening at Center for Spiritual Living, Simi Valley.
Wow. That was a great conversation, and I could have gone on for another hour with her. You may want to spend more time with her as well, so you can check Tracy Brown out at Stained Glass Spirit is her website. Do a search for Stained Glass Spirit, and that way it's an easier way to find it if you just search your URL, your Google, and find out that way. Or on Facebook, you can also find Stained Glass Spirit on Facebook. You can also find it some other tips on how to deal with where you want to go. When you hear these words, it makes you want to take some action. She's got another wonderful page. It's called What's Mine to Do. Its focus is around social justice issues, but it also helps us understand some techniques, some methods for moving the energy of action that generates from these kind of conversations into a reality, into your life, into your experience. So thank you, Tracy Brown, for that. It was a wonderful conversation. And I'm seeing that some of you are enjoying these formats. We had Masando last week. And, that also was thinking that conversation was packed with a lot of stuff. It's so great on Facebook and then later to be uploaded to YouTube. So you can go back and spend some time with these words and don't have to feel like you have to capture it all in one moment. Take it in chunks and go back and look at them again. Next week, oh my goodness, Dr. Sue Rubin, the energy with her is amazing. So I'm really looking forward to closing out our month of October with our special guest, closing the month out with Dr. Sue Rubin for time-released spirituality. Okay, it is now time for our healing prayer moment, when we join in the consciousness of the divine to allow Spirit to move us and to become open vessels for the good in our lives, for that greater yet to be made manifest. So let's do that together now as we move into this moment of healing prayer. Recognizing the divine oneness that is a part of everything in life, and knowing that right now, each and every person within the sound of my voice that is viewing this Virtue service is living in the one life that is God. As Dr. Holmes so wonderfully says it, there's one life, that life is God. That life is my life, your life now. There's nothing about this experience that would be any more full than to feel the sense of oneness moving through our bodies. The effortlessness of life is amazing. Do we have to think to breathe? Okay, sometimes I just say, yeah, take a breath. But that's because the consciousness has gotten in the way of the divine flow of life. The heart beats, the pulse moves, the energy, the food transforms into sinew and bone and nerve and skin. Do we know how that happens? It's amazing. And all of our experiences of life can work through with those same kind of precision into the good as we allow ourselves to open up and release. I release and let go. Let myself be a spiritual vessel for God. So do that with me now in this form of prayer, as we recognize that there is no limitations to our expansion of life. There's no limitations to the good we can bring into our experience. There's no limitations holding us back from our dreams and our wishes and our desires. We simply must know, and know with an embodiment, with a holding to the truth, and recognize that there are no other thoughts that get in the way of the divine flow. When we can live our life with that level of trust and faith, we can give ourselves to the forgiveness that we need for our personal journey. Sometimes that's the only thing we need to do. Just forgive ourselves for the voices that we portend in our mind, and allow ourselves to tend ourselves into the spiritual experience of growth and expansion. So see for yourself right now the end of limitation, the expansiveness of good and harmony and joy, the right guidance and the perfect relationship, the harmony and the peace, the P-E-A-C-E. Grab your P-I-E-C-E of P-E-A-C-E from the divine, here and now. I say thank you for this truth, Mother, Father, God, Divine Spirit, infinite presence, for the knowledge that says, yes, yes, yes. It is my pleasure to give you the kingdom. Thank you. That's mine. I release it now. And so it is. And so it is. Wow. And so Tracy Brown dropping the intellectual depth upon us, the spiritual stained glass truth upon us, and then we have our songbird and angel Tina Meeks singing these beautiful songs for us, and I'm going to bring her back to sing one more for us right here and now.
Trash man didn't get the trash today. Oh, why? Because they want more pay. Buses on strike wanna raise the fare so they can help pollute the air. But that's what makes the world go round, the ups and downs, the carousel, changing people's heads around. Go underground, young man. People make the world go round. Wall Street's losing dough on every share. They're blaming it on longer hair. Big men smoking in their easy chair on a fat cigar without a care. But that's what makes the world go round, the ups and downs, the carousel, changing people's heads around. Go underground, young man. People make the world go round. But that's what makes the world go round, the ups and downs, the carousel, changing people's heads around. The underground, young man. People make the world go round. People make the world go round. People make the world go round. People make the world go round.
The spirit of abundance flows through me. It lives inside my breath. As I inhale, the flow of abundance resides in every breath.
My subject is tithing. It's entitled Prosperity. The journey through life that always seems to get our attention, quicker than most anything else, is personal gain. By achieving personal wealth, we ensure our eternal happiness here on earth. But will it guarantee a resting place in eternity? As strange as it may seem, real prosperity can only come about by giving. We only have what we give. We give nothing, we have nothing. One can only be truly prosperous by making everything of a monetary value he acquires be a meaningful asset, if he shares it with others. Good health is certainly of primary importance, but the key to financial freedom can only come by giving. Tithing may not ensure your trip to eternity, but without it, there may be other hurdles you may have to overcome. I highly recommend tithing. I tithe.
It's now time for our pledge. Join me now. Divine love is doing its perfect work here and now. Divine love harmonizes. Divine love adjusts. Divine love prospers. Divine love foresees everything and richly provides every good thing for CSL Simi Valley now. Divine love is victorious.
I'm thankful, so grateful. I'm one in the spirit around me. I'm thankful, so grateful. I trust in God. I surrender. I surrender. I am one in the spirit around me. I surrender. I surrender. I trust in God. I trust in God.
Join me now in our blessing of the tithes and the offerings, whether they're physical, spiritual, electronic. It doesn't matter because it's all the same. So join me in consciousness, knowing that it is all the same and it's all love, that all material is all love, that everything is all divinity. So we're grateful for the continued operation of this center, of this Virch, the community that it gives us, and the wisdom that it teaches. We just say thank you. Thank you, Divine Spirit. So it is.
And so it is. Thank you, Rob. Beautiful day today. Oh, so many people that bring this service to you, that bring our Virch to you. And I just want to start gratitude for all of you who are watching, that are sharing your comments, that are watching from sailboats or sharing other ways you watch in the water, or just the enjoyment of Tina and her songs. It's just fantastic to see our community holding itself together and during this time. I want to thank Tracy, of course, for the interview today. Mary for her wonderful announcements. The way she did the announcements was really cool. For our practitioner of the day, Rob Thompson, his wonderful prayer and the candle meditation. Love the candle meditation. Our musical guests, of course, Tina Meeks and Sherry Deeds. There's all the community songs she does each week. Thank you so much for that. Was it sweet to see John Sheely doing our Contemplating Abundance today? Thank you, John, and his camera person, Kathy Burt. And while I'm talking about camera people, I mean, Rob's camera person, Linda Legman, we couldn't see Rob without Linda in the background. So many background people that make this thing happen. We talked about Kathy, talked about Linda, Johanna, who supports me so wonderfully with all that goes on. Gregory Lori and Dr. Susan with the play and learn activities that take place each week. And of course, our staff, Lane and Bridget, and back again, Dr. Susan as well. And Dee Malure, who's on the phones after service. If you want to call her at the church and get a prayer, one-on-one prayer, you can do that with her. I want to thank my brother, T. Michael, for coming up with the Creating Abundance, the Contemplating Abundance theme song. And of course, coming up in a minute, Floyd Lula. And I see that Gary Lynn Floyd was here from Reno, or up in Tahoe, watching the service today. Glad you enjoyed it too. We're going to put your song on in just a minute after we do the benediction. It's just, it's a wonderful effort. And it dawns on me that the time we spend together is time that can never happen again. And even if you go back and look at it again, and that's the beauty of life. That's why every moment we must really enjoy that moment and be grateful for that moment. And that we're all here on this beautiful blue marble at the same time. There's something about that. There's a relationship in the divine intelligence that put us all here together. It means that there's a reason for us to move in tandem toward this space and place of oneness. So thank you all for all of your activities. If you care to join us later, we are going to have Virch after service where you can talk about whatever's on your heart, and we can talk more about Tracy's interview or Tina's great songs or whatever you feel like talking about. But join us for Virch. I will put the link for going to the Virch service into the chat right after I finish with this. And I think that brings us to the end of another Sunday Virch. All right. Okay, so let's do our closing benediction. And when you hear or see these words and hear them from me and hear them from yourself saying it at home if you'd like, because I think it grounds it in your body when you say it out loud, just let these words land and bring the value of them into your life, because this is a powerful, powerful statement. Here it is. I'm at home in the heart of God. My life is anchored in truth. I can never be separate. I live in the consciousness of peace. I release all fear. I am living love.
Hey, Simi Valley, we're grateful that you're here. This is from Floyd Lula.
We love you. Here we go. 2, 3, 4. In the name of love, with a heart of grace, overflow in us and decorate this place. As it is below, so it is above. May we always stand in the name of love. When the veil is gone, there's only one of us, only one. In the name of love, when the day is done, we will sing this song all as one. In the name of love.
Couldn't help myself. I had to sing along with it. I'm singing along with it. Are you?
In the name of love, may we always be seeking out the best till we all are free. Living in a world we've been dreaming of, where we stand as one in the name of love. When the veil is gone, there's only one of us, only one. In the name of love, when the day is done, we will sing this song all as one. In the name of love. 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 When the veil is gone, there's only one of us, only one. In the name of love.
name of love. When the veil is gone, there's only one of us, only one. In the name of love. When the day is done, we will sing this song all as one. In the name of love. 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 Oh yeah. In the name of love. 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 Peace and blessing. We love you.
We love you too. See you next week.